Prince Leopold, Duke of Albany, KT GCSI GCMG GCStJ, was the eighth child and youngest son of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha. Leopold was later created Duke of Albany, Earl of Clarence, and Baron Arklow. He had haemophilia, which led to his death at the age of 30. Early life. Leopold was born on 7 April 1853 at Buckingham Palace, London. During labour, Queen Victoria chose to use chloroform and thus sanctioned the use of anaesthesia in childbirth, recently developed by Professor James Young Simpson. The chloroform was administered by Dr. John Snow. As a son of the British sovereign, the newborn was styled His Royal Highness the Prince Leopold at birth. His parents named him Leopold after his grand-uncle, King Leopold I of Belgium. He was baptized in the private chapel of Buckingham Palace on 28 June 1853 by the Archbishop of Canterbury, John Bird Sumner. His godparents were his first cousin once removed, King George V of Hanover, his fourth cousin once removed, Princess William of Prussia, his first cousin once removed, Princess Mary Adelaide of Cambridge, and his maternal uncle by marriage, Prince Ernst of Hohenlohe-Langenburg. Leopold inherited the disease haemophilia from his mother, Queen Victoria, and was a delicate child. There was speculation during his life that Leopold also suffered mildly from epilepsy, like his grandnephew Prince John of the United Kingdom. Education and career. The prince's intellectual abilities were evident as a boy. Poet laureate Alfred, Lord Tennyson, and his friend, philosopher Dr. James Martineau, were familiar with the Queen's children and had noted that Leopold, who had often conversed with the eminent Martineau, was considered to be a young man of a very thoughtful mind, high aims, and quite remarkable acquirements. Oxford University. In 1872, Prince Leopold entered Christ Church, Oxford, where he studied a variety of subjects and became president of the Oxford University Chess Club. On coming of age in 1874, he had been made a Privy Councillor and granted an annuity of £15,000. He left the university with an honorary doctorate in civil law in 1876, then travelled in Europe. In 1880, he toured Canada and the United States with his sister, Princess Louise, whose husband, John Campbell, Marquis of Lorne, was Governor-General of Canada. He was a prominent patron of chess, and the London 1883 chess tournament was held under his patronage. Incapable of pursuing a military career because of his haemophilia and the need to avoid even minor injuries, Leopold instead became a patron of the arts and literature and served as an unofficial secretary to his mother. Leopold was the favourite son, and through him her relations with the government of the day were usually kept up. Later he pursued viceregal appointments in Canada and the colony of Victoria, but his mother refused to appoint him, to his great unhappiness. British Army. Despite his inability to pursue an active military role, he had an honorary association with the 72nd Regiment, Duke of Albany's own Highlanders, and from 1881 served as the first Colonel-in-Chief of the Seaforth Highlanders. When that regiment was formed through the merger of the 72nd Regiment with the 78th Regiment of Foot, a portrait of Prince Leopold in military uniform is held in the Royal Collection. The Seaforth Highlanders paraded at Prince Leopold's funeral, a fact recorded by William McGonagall in his poem, The Death of Prince Leopold. Freemasonry. Prince Leopold was an active Freemason, being initiated in the Apollo University Lodge, Oxford, whilst resident at Christ Church. Church. He was proposed for membership by his brother Albert Edward, Prince of Wales, who was at the time the worshipful master of the lodge, and was initiated in a joint ceremony with Robert Hawthorne Collins, his friend and tutor, who later became controller of his household. He served as master of the lodge from 1876 to 1877, and was later the provincial Grand Master for Oxfordshire, still holding that office at the time of his death. Duke of Albany. Prince Leopold was created Duke of Albany, Earl of Clarence and Baron Arklow on 24 May 1881. Marriage. Prince Leopold, stifled by the desire of his mother, Queen Victoria, to keep him at home, saw marriage as his only hope of independence. Due to his haemophilia, he had difficulty finding a wife. Heiress Daisy Maynard was one of the women he considered as a possible bride. He was acquainted with Alice Liddell, the daughter of the Vice-Chancellor of Oxford, for whom Lewis Carroll wrote Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and was godfather of Alice's second son, who was named for him. It has been suggested that he considered marrying her, though others suggest that he preferred her sister Edith. Leopold also considered his second cousin Princess Frederica of Hanover for a bride. They instead became lifelong friends and confidants. Other aristocratic women he pursued included Victoria of Baden and Princess Caroline Matilda of Schleswig-Holstein-Sonderburg-Augustenburg. After rejection from these women, Victoria stepped in to bar what she saw as unsuitable possibilities, insisting that the children of British monarchs should marry into other reigning Protestant families. Victoria suggested a meeting with Princess Helene Friederike, the daughter of Georg Victor, reigning Prince of Waldeck-Pyrmont, one of whose daughters had already married King William III of the Netherlands. On the 27th of April 1882, Leopold and Helena were married at St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle, and his income was raised by Parliament to £25,000. Leopold and Helena enjoyed a happy marriage. In 1883, Leopold became a father when his wife gave birth to a daughter, Alice. He died shortly before the birth of his son, Charles Edward. Illness and death. Prince Leopold had haemophilia, diagnosed in childhood, and in early years had various physicians in permanent attendance, including Arnold Royal and John Wickham Legge. In February 1884, Leopold went to Cannes on doctor's orders. Joint pain is a common symptom of haemophilia, and the winter climate in the United Kingdom was always difficult for him. His wife, pregnant at the time, stayed at home but urged him to go. On the 27th of March, at his Cannes residence, the Villa Nevada, he slipped and fell, injuring his knee and hitting his head. He died in the early hours of the next morning, apparently from a cerebral hemorrhage. He was buried in the Albert Memorial Chapel at Windsor. The court observed official mourning from the 30th of March 1884 to the 11th of May 1884. His posthumous son, Prince Charles Edward, succeeded him as second Duke of Albany upon birth 4 months later. Having died 6 years after his older sister Alice, Leopold was the second of Queen Victoria's children to die. His mother outlived him by 17 years, by which time she had also outlived a third child, Alfred. Leopold's passing was lamented by the Scottish poet and tragedian William McGonagall in the poem The Death of Prince Leopold. In 1900, Leopold's son, Charles Edward, succeeded his uncle Alfred as Duke of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha. Through Charles Edward, Leopold was the great-grandfather of Carl XVI Gustaf, the current King of Sweden. The haemophilia gene is carried on the X chromosome, and is normally passed through female descent. As in the past, few haemophiliac men survived to beget children. Any daughter of a haemophiliac is a carrier of the gene. Leopold's daughter Alice inherited the haemophilia gene and passed it to her eldest son Rupert. Titles, styles, honours and arms. Titles: the 7th of April 1853 to 24 May 1881, His Royal Highness the Prince Leopold. The 24th of May 1881 to 28 March 1884, His Royal Highness Prince Leopold, the Duke of Albany. Honours: KG, Knight of the Order of the Garter, KT, Knight of the Order of the Thistle, PC, Member of the Privy Council of the United Kingdom, GCSI, Knight Grand Commander of the Order of the Star of India, GCStJ, Bailiff, Head Cross of the Order of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem, GCMG, Knight Grand Cross of the Order of St. Michael and St. George. Arms. In 1856, at the age of 3, Prince Leopold was granted a personal coat of arms, the arms of the kingdom, with an inner scutcheon of the Shield of Saxony, and all differenced by a label argent of 3 points, the first and third bearing hearts gules, and the second a cross gules. Issue. Ancestors. In popular culture. In the 2001 romantic comedy film Kate and Amp, Leopold, Duke of Albany, is a 19th-century British duke who time travels to 21st-century New York, a loose analogue of the historical Leopold. His surname is given as Mountbatten, an anachronism, as this surname was created in 1917 to de-Germanize the name Battenburn during World War I. The fictional Leopold is credited with having invented the elevator, and has a butler named Otis. The characters may also reference his nephew, Leopold, son of Princess Beatrice. His surname being Battenburn. His name was changed to Mountbatten after the war. Leopold is also frequently mentioned in stories based on Alice in Wonderland, such as the Looking Glass Wars trilogy.